And please repeat after me. Noon.
Noon.
Atum.
Atum.
Shu.
Shu.
God bless you. Tatu.
Tatu.
Geb.
Geb.
Nu.
Nu.
Asar.
Asar.
Aset.
Aset.
Sutekh.
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 Neptet.
Neptet.
Heru.
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 Mayat.
Mayat.
Jehuti.
Jehuti.
Kontu.
Kontu.
Heru.
Heru.
Sekhmet.
Sekhmet.
Bastet.
Baset.
Dua Sutekh.
Dua Sutekh.
Dua Sutekh.
Dua Sutekh.
Dua Sutekh.
Dua Sutekh.
We offer our attention and our mind to the principles of creation as embodied by the Necheru. We seek freedom and separation from all things that distract us from our true selves at this time. So mote it be.
So mote it be.
Greetings and 10,000 blessings upon your head. Thanks for returning for the 7th teaching in the Kemetic science series dedicated to the ancient African science known as theurgy. Thank you for supporting the Temple of Holistic Knowledge, a temple of the Correllian tradition. My name is Reverend Phoenix Coffin Williams, and locally I am the chief priest of this temple. Internationally, I am the first priest and co-head of the Correllian tradition, an international tradition with members and temples all around the world, including North, Central, and South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, and Australia. The Correllian tradition is a tradition open to those seeking a path of enlightenment and to rediscover the divinity inherent in themselves and all creation. We offer education and encouragement to all those who wish to celebrate the influence of wisdom in their lives, and we also offer the inner court or initiatory path for those called to the clergy to demonstrate and serve these principles that we declare with our lives. Anyone interested? Actually, most of y'all here are either initiated or dedicated, so we don't have to go over that. But for any of you who are tuning in from afar, hit me up or check out the Correllian tradition at www.correllian.com, and you can see how you can get involved on your celebratory or initiatory path if that's what you're feeling called for. Last time we met, we did discuss the goddess Sekhmet, righteous rage, and the need to act harshly when the time calls for it. We discussed her ferocity and her relationship to Heru and Bast as well. We recounted her mythology and honored her as part of the Memphite triad, So divinities who come to us from the city of Memphis as opposed to Anu, which is where the other ones have been coming from so far. We honored her in the triad Ptah, Sekhmet, Nefertem, which is a holy trinity, and it is a route to maintaining Ma'at, so a very valid way to cleanse your personality and rebalance your life. Today we return back to the city of Anu with the god Sutekh, who is also known as Set to the Egyptians and the Greeks. He is an Anubian divinity. Today is also the day that we learn, most about the function of Ariu, which is the Kemetic version of karma. It's the exact equivalent, actually, and how it's formed, how we learn about an alternative paradigm to good and evil, and of course we're also going to examine through the mythology that has been left behind, the various ways that we can recognize and interact the potentials for evolution. I want to continue to remind everyone that indeed the tool of illumination that we are using is mythology, and we must remember at all times that the approach to the stories are allegory, and to rely on them literally for any moment is to begin to build false knowledge, and we want to not do that. The god Sutekh is most commonly known as Set to the Egyptians and the Greeks. And I'll start off by saying that we can call this god Set, and when we do that, we immediately notice an opposition between him and his sister Asen. Now, those four are married, we remember. Asar to Aset, Sutekh to Nebtet. And so when we think about their names alone, we recognize that a union between Set and Aset would not be one that is stable or would ever stabilize. So for that, we say Dua Atun, Dua Ta, Dua Ra. For your wisdom upholds creation. The god Sutekh appears as part camel, part dog, and part aardvark, all combined in one face. And some people speculate that perhaps this creature existed at one point and is now extinct, but philosophically, we kind of recognize that this is a creature with no origin and no destination, completely bound to the earth. The earth being his god, Geb, the bolt that prevents the unready, unevolved souls from passing into the Duat. And when we consider Sutekh's parentage, Geb and Nut, and his husbandry to Nebtet, the fashioner of bodies, we begin to pick up the hint that these two, Nebtet and Sutekh, they represent the ongoing component of cyclic existence. But it's interesting that this divinity, who does represent male sexual virility, was unable to have children, was unable to reproduce himself in the next generations of divinities, which lets us know that there's some component to this that is not meant to be replicated. There's something about the pattern of Sutekh and Nebtet that is meant to be broken. Sutekh is the god of male sexuality and virility, but also of storms, of the desert, of thunder, war, confusion, foreigners, natural disasters, and violence. And we would think that god of male virility in a highly formal union to the fashioner of bodies would be able to have any offspring that he will want, but the stories maintain that he does not have any children. With one example, a crocodile divinity that is also related to chaos and confusion. As I stated before, these divinities represent cosmic forces that lead to the creation of the cosmos, society, and our personalities all at the same time. So in our personalities, Sutekh is the ego and the egoism that accompanies it. The ego is our projection of who we think we are, or who we think we know ourselves to be. When it's basically our idea of ourselves and how we perform it. And so if you think about a phrase, So-and-so isn't acting like themselves lately. We are referring to the ego projection that we are most consistently aware of. The resulting egoisms are all the behaviors based on the belief that the physical reality is all there is to experience. Living life ignorant to the presence of your own higher self is the ultimate practice of egoism. It is said that Sutekh is the backbone of every human being. This clearly indicates that everyone has an ego, the ignorant and the wise alike. And additionally, if Sutekh is linked to our backbone, where our serpent energy or our Sekhem is, it's housed and it finds its movement in this very energy of action and manifestation in life, when we consider that our Sekhem energy is housed at the base of our backbone, and our Sekhem energy is the basis for how we spend our life energy, like it's our composite of life energy while we're here, with Sutekh or the backbone being right there where it's stored, it lets us know that we all spend a decent amount of time in our life being ruled by the ego. Historically, that piece of information was not always given to the people. But following the death and resurrection of Osiris in the triumph of Horus, that piece of information got expanded to everybody in existence. That our purpose is to recognize and use our Sekhem, our life energy, in accordance with the mandates of Maya. And doing so helps us cleanse our personalities and our karma, making us ripe for a perfect afterlife. Sutekh being each of our backbones means that the ego, at rest, at baseline, if left on autopilot, all humans will think and move as if the only thing that exists is the physical world. At baseline, we will work to act and satisfy our own individualized needs and desires, perhaps even at the expense of others. This is how Ariu or karma is formed. The way we do or don't use our life force energy becomes a habit. Habits work to maintain themselves and become so ingrained in us that we feel weird when we don't participate in them. However, the more we behave in a certain manner, the more likely we are to behave in a certain manner. This accumulates over our lifetime, and when we die, if we die too engrossed in the egoism offered by the physical realm, Geb keeps the bolt shut tight, Nebhet fashions us a new body, and we are reborn. Now, not as blank slates, but as the slate with habits squished down and subtly influencing the conditions that we wander through in our life. So when you ask the question, is it free will or is it predetermined? We are free to choose how we act and how we behave from one moment to the next. However, the consequences of those behaviors will determine what our next condition is. And we are free again to choose that. But the consequence, again, will choose the next condition. And so on and so forth in between and throughout lifetimes. And so what was your biggest habit in a previous life now becomes your predisposition in the present life. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. This does also mean that we come with tools that we have already worked and have already mastered from previous lives as well. So it's not just we get here with a boot on our bike. No, we get here with a boot on our bike and like a way to kind of like hack into it and get it off and rework our behavior to try again and again and again and again and again. It is said in Kemetic psychology that the righteous do not wonder if they are righteous or not. They don't wonder what they would do in compromising situations. And likewise, if you know you have not a single drop of unrighteousness in your cup, you know that there is no way to pour anything unrighteous from it. Righteous actions work to build righteous habits and deliver us from our fixation with our own egos. However, The power of our egos over the course of lifetimes does betray us. The ego will allow us to confuse being seen doing good with doing good for good's sake. We are all here, which means one of three things. 1, we are starting a physical journey for the first time. 2, you're continuing the journey because you didn't conclude it at the end of your previous lifetime. 3, you beat the game on hard mode and you came back to return as a guide to help others. I will encourage everyone automatically to not allow egoism to tell you where you are in this cycle. Because no matter where you are, if you're new, if you're continuing, or if you're a guide, you still have to continually cleanse personality over and over and over and over and over again to demonstrate evolution. There is no high horse. The more that we rearrange our behaviors towards righteousness, towards Aset, the more our Ariu begins to help us rearrange our habits towards Aset, towards evolution. In myth, Sutekh is a dynamic divinity. He's a protector, and he is an adversary, and by extension, an initiator. As the force that pushes Ra's solar bark across the heavens during the day, he is responsible for sharing that life-giving force with the rest of creation, allowing everything on the planet to thrive. At the nighttime, the bark sails to the Duat, and Sutekh is at the prow right alongside Ra, battling the demon of chaos and uncreation, Apep. It is Sutekh who delivers the blow that fends off Apep for the night. However, Apep is only defeated but not done. Apep returns night after night, and Sutekh is that ninja every single night, delivering the blow that sinks the demon back into the deep waters. This life-spreading and protecting form of the god of storms and chaos is very interesting. Why is the god of chaos protecting all of known creation? Why don't the wisdom god and the warrior goddess contrive some plan for ultimate victory? Why is it that the creator and the ego are the only two divinities to stand faithfully day in and day out to protect us from the unknown forces which threaten to unmake what has been made? Well, if you look at it this way, the creator created it and loves it so much and wants to see it continue to thrive and run its course naturally. And the ego loves it so much because of how good it tastes and how fun it is and how pretty it smells. It desires a position of kingship over it, and so much to ensure ongoing access to the creation that it loves so much, it will protect it from any danger that it could either invent or stumble across. But that's the thing about our egos. They do function to protect us from the known and unknown forces that would threaten to destabilize us mentally or emotionally. But our egos do also create problems or invent problems for us to resolve just so that we can remain connected to some kind of feeling of strength or effectiveness or usefulness. Sutekh believed that he was meant to be the next king of Egypt. And Ma'at willing, he was. It was so ordained that Sutekh would rule Egypt. Sutekh wasn't the only one to think he should be king at that. There were others who also saw the benefit of approving Sutekh as their king. It is so ordained that we must experience a moment in which we are controlled by our egos and our egoism. And this is a time when we are consumed with getting what we think we need to win at this game of physical life. We may become consumed with amassing money, active and passive income, being seen as a certain type of person, have a certain type of partner or relationship, setting goals for your life, as if the whole thing wasn't mapped out for you by your higher self. That's the moment that we all go through as we grow and develop. During Sutekh's rule in Egypt, Heru was put to the test several times. These tribulations had a refining impact on Heru, just like the moments that are ruled by our ego, they have a refining impact on us. in our lives. The tasks of Sutekh transformed Ariu into a righteous and rightful king, showing us the things that our egos put us through, if handled correctly, will lead to transcendence. Our egos also believe that they deserve more than they get, each and every time. If we get a birthday party with 15 people, we might be grateful for sure, but we will always consider or even discuss the 5 people who said that they would come but didn't show up. Our egos will know doing kindness is the right thing, but also feel rejected or defeated if our kindness is not returned to us by the people who received it at the time we require it back. In these throes of rejection, defeat, indignation, or ignorance, we activate latent Ariu that triggers old habitual ways of handling said experiences. Deciding to act differently than your previously established habits or karma is evidence that your personality is becoming cleansed. So knowing, oh, I used to do this thing for this reason, even if you still do it, knowing, oh, I used to, is how you know that the teachings are starting to work. Choosing not to do it is evidence the teachings are working. You're changing, the teachings are working. We cleanse our personalities by rejecting old patterns of behavior that result in confusion and isolation. We cleanse our personalities by engaging with spiritual topics, by reading about them, by reciting them, by meditating on them, listening to the teachings in the temple, participating in rituals, and inviting the genius of the gods to inspire us. We offer water, candles, and incense to our divinities and express genuine gratitude for all the ways that differentiated matter can manifest, while also not becoming too attached to the differentiated matter. To continue to drive this message home, Sutekh was absolutely a divinity that was honored, venerated, had temples, had cults. Our ancestors knew that it was unwise to ignore this force. Both internally and externally, he was spoken of highly by those who honored him. They called him Kemetic. So you know how to say like when we're singing our song. And it means great. And the other part of his epithet, petit, means double strength or twice strong. Animal sacrifices were used to appease Sutekh, and he was associated with the Libyan god Ash, the Western Semitic god Baal or Baal, and the Hittite god Teshup. At the end of the day, do not underestimate the power of the ego to help you make subtle choices that pull you more and more into the physical world and into participation in egoism. Do not underestimate the power of the ego to protect you from the troubles of your own creation. Consider that the untoward experiences we would label as evil are actually just the forces of entropy acting naturally through creation, throughout all creation. This force slowly coaching what has been made to abandon their constructs and to return to undifferentiated matter. What has the energy to persist will remain. What does not have the energy to persist will return to its origin. Eventually, everything will return to its source. And with that, I leave you with many blessings. Until next time. Our magic for today are cord cuttings. And in particular, we want to dissolve the bond between us and parts of ourselves throughout lifetimes. So from just a few seconds ago, our personalities, they represent our habits across our soul's evolution. Right now, we want to get rid of or let go of any connection that we have to materialism that persists throughout that timeline. You know what I'm saying? So you've got your candle, which the color that you thought of is the thing that your spirit needs you to focus on right now. Your cord is anything that connects you to that aspect of the previous life. The previous life is represented by this red candle right here. So if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and start to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. I'm going to come and anoint you out with oil. Focus on the quirks that you have or the little things that you do to let other people know you are displeased, that you are disappointed, or that you feel like you have been shortchanged somehow. And then palms up, and I'm going to come out with the oil. Go ahead and anoint your candles and your cords. Really form that connection. And then when you're done, tie one end of your cord around your candle. And then when you are done, come on up and tie it to the representation of past life, past behaviors, this red candle, and place it into one of the candle holders. Excellent job. Thank you, thank you. All right. Thank you all very much. The cord cutting is like Tylenol. It will take away the pain associated with the connection for the thing, but it will not address what's actually at the core, which is having tasted the thing, craved the thing, you're more likely to want the thing again. So you have to learn to recognize that even though you might crave something, you might want something very, very badly, you might even feel that you deserve it, you might even be entitled to it or feel that you're entitled to it. It might be something that was promised to you, and so you want that promise. But either way, whatever it is, you have to recognize that having had it in a previous life, the craving for it is still going to be there, and you have to make the determination to reorganize your behaviors so that you don't get it. Feeding that lion will maintain the lion's craving for more and more and more, right? So just like how Asar continued to indulge in the various forms of physicality that led to his death, us too, like if we continue to indulge in mindlessly what the physical world has to offer, it will continue to lead to our death, and not the rebirth in the paradise, but the rebirth here under physical conditions to try again. And so this gives a new meaning to the idea old soul, right? A lot of times like, oh, I'm an old soul, I'm an old soul, I'm an old soul. Still haven't gotten it? Mm-hmm. So be careful about the way that you understand the spiritual and metaphysical principles, and be careful about how you interpret them from like other people too. Because at the end of the day, from this perspective and very many other perspectives, there's a destination that we're trying to get to from here. And if someone says that they're so old they haven't gotten to it yet, maybe they hard-headed spiritually. It's through the power of Anubis that we come to learn to discern which moments will help us with our Ariu the most. Which opportunity do we have to seize, and which road do we have to walk down to wear away at that and replace it with the righteousness. So focus on your candles. And recognize that even though there are certain things that you still crave or that burn, give you that burning sensation of like desire or longing, you can still apply grace and divinity and give yourself an opportunity to do and try new things. It's the force of Sekhem or Sekhmet in each of us that gives us the ability or the power to even make choices to begin with. So continue to focus on God and allow that inspiration to illuminate some of the choices that you could be making moving forward to continue to aid you in your evolution. Thank you all for being here. Thanks to the people who watched. Until next time for y'all, blessed be.
Blessed be.